Hello and welcome to another episode of the Opportunity Podcast. I'm your host, Greg Elfring, the head of marketing over here at Empire Flippers. And today I am speaking with a very special guest, Jana Krekic, the founder of YLT Translations and now also Seller Lingo. So she helps people expand internationally with their Amazon FBA brands, both in translations, like the literal translations of stuff, but also the cultural translation. So your marketing still actually works. I've been friends with Jana for many, many years. She's really, really cool. We have a blast. She always makes me laugh. Great stories. And she really gets it when it comes to understanding not every market responds the same to your marketing messages. So you really need to understand that culture that you're going into that new market to be able to actually be successful with that new market. And with everything that's going on with Rufus, now Alexa, and all the new AI stuff coming out on Amazon, I figured who better to talk about this than the master of the craft herself. So with that said, I'm going to get off my soapbox, and I think you guys will really, really enjoy this episode. If whether you're selling internationally already or you are looking to eventually expand into international markets, Jana is an absolute wealth of knowledge. So that said, I'll see you on the other side. All right, I have Jana Krekic with me here today, the founder of YLT Translation and a very old friend of mine. We had probably talked for about 20 minutes offline, just reminiscing about some crazy conference stories of people we've met over the years. So it's always a pleasure to see you again, my friend, and happy to talk to you about what you're doing. But for everyone who does not know the legend that is you, why don't you describe a bit about who you are and what you do?
Thank you, Craig. As we previously mentioned, you and me will forever belong to the same circle, which, means a lot to us, both of us. So thank you so much for having me. It's great to be back on the podcast after a while. So yeah, my name is Jana, and I'm the founder and CEO of YLT Translations. We do localization translations, keyword optimization for all Amazon international marketplaces, left and right, which, yes, means both Japan and Brazil and not only Europe, so absolutely all international marketplaces where Amazon is at. And our latest venture, I would say the extension to YLT Translations, is Seller Lingo. We just launched it in May, and we have over 200 users, so it's worth mentioning that, there is a really good AI tool for translations out there.
That's awesome. I didn't realize you already had 200 users. I remember you hitting me up on Facebook about it, and I thought it was a great idea, which is, kind of why we were doing this podcast. But I didn't realize you already had such traction. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's like, I think it's 217 right now, all like paid users and like active users. So I'm really, really happy about that because it's been only 2 months since we launched. So
Well, everything changes at 218. Let me tell you, the whole business will be different at 218. So one more that will come from this podcast, surely everything would change. And then a couple years later, we'll sell your business for 7 figures, which has always been my pitch to you, right?
true. Yes, exactly. I mean, it happens with Seller Lingo. Let's try it. This is the second circle.
It wouldn't be a podcast with Greg without at least one hard sell tactic.
Oh, I mean, at least one.
I remember, when we first met like years ago, like a lot of my clients in the Amazon FBA space, I wouldn't say an easy button, but the expansion to other territories, especially in Europe, because this is more centralized with how Amazon, had their factories where you just kind of press a button in your back office. This was a massive opportunity for people, and I still think it's a massive opportunity. I know things have changed quite a bit in the whole Amazon ecosystem. So one of the things that I see changing, just from feedback with my own clients as well, is that Amazon has recently got a lot more strict with their listing requirements. Now, I don't know if that also translates to other markets outside of the English market, because I mostly am in the English market. But why do you think this is happening? Why is Amazon getting stricter with their listing requirements and what you can do in there?
Yeah, well, I think it depends on, it feels like there are, I would say, three things happening at the same time. They kind of like landed at the same time, which is why it feels so sudden to sellers, but some of them have already been there. For instance, there are a lot of rules that didn't actually change that much, but what changed is the enforcement. And Amazon now scans listings automatically in real time. So actually, the things you could get away with in 2023 suddenly feel suppressed in 2026. So it's not new rules, it's actually the radar. So that is, a problem. And where I see that this hits hardest, like brand selling across Europe, actually. So it does affect everyone, like both like the US and Europe, even though like Europe for certain things is still lightning years away from the US. But for instance, like something that is compliant, it means something different in Germany than in France or Italy. So a listing that was translated, for instance, 3 years ago, it was totally fine back then, can be the exact thing like that gets your ASIN suppressed today. That legacy content is the sleeper risk, I would say. So I would say that when it comes to this, that Amazon is not punishing sellers, but it's actually sort of trying to kind of professionalize more the marketplace. I think a lot of sellers would not agree with me, but we have seen when we work with brands that like caps lock have been forever banned like in the US, but you can still get away with that in Europe, which means that maybe in 2 weeks, maybe your listing will get suppressed, but for now, you're good to go. But who knows what they will start reinforcing again, which has always been a rule actually, but they have not been so strict about it. Also, second thing that's like that Amazon got stricter about is the regulation. So Amazon itself under the real pressure from CPSC and in the States and GPSR in Europe, and you can read about it in news all the time. And what they're doing is actually they're passing this pressure down to sellers. So they even stopped doing FBA private labeling in the US, and which is, it's basically Amazon saying the compliance is your problem now, not ours. So that is something that has changed, and it's becoming a real problem for the sellers. So they're like not even like tightening the regulation, but just like literally like, being like, not our problem anymore. Like here, you can deal with that. And the third thing, and I mean, this is AI search, of course. Like we have data feeds for an AI, we have Rufus, Alexa now, and like AI can't work with a title that is just 200 words with lots of stuffed keywords. So all these new rules that have happened on July 27th, where your title is now capped at 75 characters, and you also need to use highlights. That's Amazon preparing its catalog for AI shopping because they need AI to read the title to understand it, not just like to have like a random title with stuffed keywords, which they don't understand and can't connect together. They say this is because of the mobile version of the Amazon app on your phone, so you can see the whole title, but it's not exactly 100% why they're doing this. So these are like three most important things that are happening right now, and brands should really, really take this into consideration and especially understand the AI part where it's all about context and understanding and having that kind of human feel when you read anything. You kind of have to understand what this product is about because AI needs to understand it too. And this is why a lot of these changes are happening.
So really, it's not like new requirements. It's just they were never really being enforced. Would you say the American market is actually more regulated then? You made it kind of sound like the American market is tougher with this than the
It
European
is. It is tougher
market. Yeah, that
because
surprises me. You just the other
yeah, yeah,
way
yeah.
around.
No, like US is tougher because, like, for instance, like I give an example of those caps lock in the beginning of bullets. Like, there's no way you do that on the US market and you can like publish that or not get suppressed. But like in Europe, we still have clients that are like, "Oh, we want to keep these emojis," and I'm like, "Are you are you joking? Like emojis, seriously?" And some of those
75
are like,
characters of emojis.
yeah, they like emojis and caps lock, and they can get away with this in Europe because a lot of rules that have been enforced in the US never got to Europe, or will get there maybe in a couple of months or years or whatever, or maybe not even ever.
That's fascinating. So it's like Google then, because like the hardest place to rank in Google is always America, followed by UK, maybe Australia. But then once you get beyond the English speaking stuff, like you go to the Vietnamese Google, it's like early 2000s SEO with like
Yeah,
crazy
yeah, yeah.
spam links everywhere. But with Amazon now like pushing the compliance onto the seller, do you get like notified as a seller if you're going to get suppressed? Like, hey, this is out of line, or Amazon's just like does it to you and you just see it in your sales numbers? Like, how do you know if you're not compliant?
No, it just like say it happened like in the numbers and like, sometimes you get like depending on the category, because like that also is, worth a discussion. And so depending on the category, it's also like, you get, oh well, they logged this because they think this is not compliant or but a lot of times like they would not even notify you depending on like it's not uniformed, unfortunately. So sometimes you're surprised, sometimes you're not. But for instance, like what we had like last week, what happened is that we had a seller, he's a very big seller, and we did the European batch of like bunch of his listings. And then he said, we need to change these titles because it says it's not compliant. And I'm like, why? Like, we've had this title for the last 4 years. And they're like, yeah, but they're like not allowing to have different colors mentioned in the title, one after another. And I'm like, since when isn't this compliant? Right?
Forever. We just didn't care before.
Yeah, like, and then he goes like, I don't know. I just saw this, and he sent me a screenshot, and I'm like, oh my god, like I've never heard such a thing. And they were like, neither have we. What should we do? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, let's just like we're gonna leave one color and see if this is gonna be compliant. So sometimes you don't even know what's gonna like flag it or not, which is
This has always been one of my biggest pet peeves with these big tech giants. This is why I always tell entrepreneurs you shouldn't rely on a single tech giant. Like my affiliate friends got crushed by
yeah,
Google, right? Some of my Amazon friends get crushed by Amazon and so on and so forth. But like you're running meta ads, for example, you spend a bunch of money on it, like, oh, your account's suspended. Why? Like, we don't know. You should read our policy. Like, dude, can you help me out here? I'm
no,
spending
no.
like 50
Here's
grand with you. It's just like it really proves you don't need to be the best at customer service to run a unicorn $1 billion company, right? But
no,
anyway, you mentioned categories, and there is a special category that is near and dear to all internet marketers' hearts, which is the supplements category, which has like probably some of the craziest stuff when it comes to being compliant. The regulations is always
yeah,
changing. Tell me a bit about that world, because I know you deal with quite a bit of that too with your clients.
yeah. That's also like our favorite category to work with.
I always joke a marketer just wants you to go on a lot of dates, get really healthy, and get wealthy. It's like like that's all the marketer wants to do for you.
Why would you need anything else?
Right,
Greg?
the three main niches, right? I always like to throw in Warhammer as well. The fourth the dark horse hobby niches. But
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, we'll try to popularize that in the next couple of years. Maybe AI will be more friendly with that niche than with others. Who knows? It's a little ocean.
so tell me about the supplements world. What's going on
Yeah,
with
yeah.
that stuff?
So, yeah, when talking about supplements, like this year, and this started back in March, like end of March, if you have like a misleading or unsubstantiated ingredient composition in your, listing or content, whatever, your listing can be deactivated. Because now what Amazon is asking from you, like expecting that every ingredient claim on the detailed page, it needs to match whatever appears on the supplement fact panel or SFP in name, weight, and presentation. And then, which means basically is that Amazon is no longer evaluating supplements as a marketing content or like, what's your feature or like your best selling point, whatever it is, but it's actually evaluating as a regulated labels. So if you have something that might not sound good or it's not, quite, something that doesn't match or appear that panel, the SFP, then you can get totally suppressed. So whatever it is, it doesn't matter if you use it to make a joke on your like infographics or this or that, or like to make it sound good. Like you should be very, very careful with what content you're putting out there. And if it's 1% misleading according to the panel, they will suppress your listing. And this is something that has never been done before, like this much like suppression because of that. But we've seen a lot of brands really had to deal with this very seriously because there's like a lot of content out there. We're not even checked if it matches or doesn't match the supplements facts panel. So that is something really, really worth checking in case you haven't, if you are in supplements category.
I'm trying to think of an example what that might look like. So, like, if you have your facts panel, like your ingredients list, I guess, on there, and then your content, you're mentioning what those ingredients are also comprised of, like they're the ingredients in that ingredient, but that's not on your fact sheet. Would that be like, hey, you
Yeah,
can't do that, even
yeah,
though
you can't do that.
that
No.
is what that ingredient is made out of?
Yes, yeah,
Wow,
exactly.
that's super strict.
It is. And supplements are basically always based on like what ingredients you have. Like, at all
Right.
listings you have, like that is your, like, I mean, this is what you talk about, your ingredients, how good your ingredients are, what they do, what they consist of, where they're made. And so you have to really, really pay attention to what says on that panel. It has to match that. Can't be anything other than that.
I imagine that's going to trip up a lot of people because, like, if you're talking about, like, I don't know, melatonin, sleeping aid, you're probably also talking about the breaking down what this ingredient does, and like that ingredient is composed of multiple ingredients, and you're like, even if you're trying to be like ethically helpful, like that
Yeah.
would count against you.
Because they say like it has to match like the name, the weight, and presentation. So presentation is here what we're talking about. That no matter how you present your ingredient, if they're okay with that or not. So it's gonna become very, very like kind of walking on thin ice and see what you can do, what you can't. But definitely check that out if you're in supplement category because if it hasn't reached you yet, it will at some point, I'm
Yeah,
sure, because supplements are one of the best categories to sell in. So of
for
course,
sure.
the
Yeah,
commercials are
big
very
money.
tight.
Big money in that.
Yeah.
Why is Amazon getting so much stricter? I mean, it sounds like they already had these rules in place, but now they're starting to enforce them. And I guess it's just because of USA and European regulatory bodies are really cramping down on them. Is that what's making this change?
I also think? I also think that for sure, but I also think it's because there's like a lot of junk being sold on Amazon, honestly.
It's true,
And
yeah.
I think also because of that, it's just like, no, we want to tighten things out to kind of become like a more serious marketplace that people can count on and rely on. That when you buy a supplement, you understand what you're buying and that you're buying is what you're getting and not, something else. I also think like there's like an article about it like last year how Amazon wants to become like a premium marketplace, like whatever for like the categories that they can control, and they can control supplements. Like they can tell you, okay, you can't say this, you can't. They can control like I don't know, like iPhone covers or whatever you're selling, like plastic stuff. They can technically, but I think this is like where the most money is, what people buy, and they want to be like a safe place where people can buy these stuff from. And I also think this is why they're focusing on that as well.
It makes sense. And supplements, if customers that really love it, like is a massive MRR with like the whole like,
Oh yeah.
subscribe and buy or whatever it's called. So yeah, it makes sense. I want to get into a bit of the translation stuff that you do, but before I do, I mean, you've been in this game for a long time with Amazon. Outside of it just becoming more stricter in terms of its content, how have you seen the game change for Amazon sellers over the years? Like, where are we now versus, I don't know, 5 years ago?
Yeah, this is a really good question because I mean, 5 years ago, everything was different. Like it was like the algorithm, it was like those keyword stuffing I mentioned, just talking about like the listings and images and all of that. Like 5 years ago, you couldn't even change your image, like a country specific image. You couldn't get it. It was only like if your main market is English, then all the images are left in English. There was like no tips or tricks how to change it, and now you can change everything like country specific images directly in image manager, which is something new as well, because usually you would need to upload images still for the first time and then edit it in image manager. Now you can just upload it in image manager or whatever you want, like whichever language. So that is really, really simple. Earlier that was not even possible to do that. And then when it comes to now you have Rufus and Alexa, so now I think it's gearing more towards like, how do I understand this product? Like, what is the context? It's also like, when you have like topical clusters on Google, and then like it's like connecting the dots and it's like, oh, this is this product versus just like being ranked for a certain keyword and like, okay, this is a keyword which is very relevant for this keyword. So we'll make it stand out whenever someone types out this keyword. Now it's more sophisticated and it gets more towards like the context and other things. Like you need to work on your ads and like everything has to make sense in order for your product to be relevant. So it's becoming more complex. I would say that it's never going to be as complex as it is on Google, but it's becoming more sophisticated than how it used to be. Definitely with the help of AI and like the assistants and all of that. And I think shoppers can become even more lazy with all this like additional help and not even go through your bullets because they have all the little summary with Alexa, which for instance, like you don't have this in Europe. You have this like in the UK and Germany, but all the other marketplaces, they don't have Rufus or Alexa at all.
Oh, really? So that's just mostly in the American and English speaking market. Well, it's in
Yeah,
the German
English.
market, I
Yeah,
guess. But
yeah. But all the others are just like there's nothing there. It's just like how it used to be. So I'm sure they will roll out pretty soon, which is great because you still have time to kind of adjust that. Because now it's like, if you want to have like play the keyword game, you need to have that same keyword on your main images, title, and infographics and A+ model. Like you should have that. So the algorithm is like, oh, okay, same keyword here, this, oh, okay, I'm putting this together, I understand what this product is, so I can recommend it. So that is a very, very big difference, and things are definitely have changed a lot compared to like 5 years ago, just
Yeah.
regarding absolutely everything, the compliance and tax and shipping and just basically everything. It's like a completely different beast than how it was 5 years ago. And I would say that now are bigger differences between the US and let's say Europe than how they were. I think they were like on a similar level of, let's say, like content wise and just like how you get ranked and how you play the game. But I think now it's becoming like there was a big differentiator now, like in the US, for instance, like those caps locks I mentioned, or no HTML and product description and so on. And in Europe you can still get away with a lot of things. So I think that is the discrepancy is a little bit higher now than how it used to be.
That makes sense. That tracks a bit with Google as well. Like SEO is so much more complex than it used to be in my own mind, but in many ways it stayed the same. But I'm very negative on SEO these days. That was my main
Why?
skill, just because AI is like, I don't know, AI has cannibalized so much of Google SEO. Like a lot of our traffic at EF was SEO and still is. Now we get tons of traffic from LLMs. I haven't done anything specifically to make that happen. It's just a lot of fundamental SEO stuff, right? But it's so tipsy turvy. Like I built our strategy based around HubSpot strategy. I always call the EF marketing strategy like the poor man HubSpot strategy because it was just me doing it. Like,
Yeah.
But also I lost like a half a billion. I think it was like half a billion in searches a month from the great Google SEO apocalypse. And I remember
Uh-huh.
when ChatGPT came out, all my SEO friends were like, "Oh, Google's going to die to this," and I said, "No." I think Google is not going to die to ChatGPT. I think Google is going to die because they freak out responding to ChatGPT. And I feel pretty
Yeah.
vindicated on that for the most part.
Like I agree absolutely with what you said, and like I got a lot of people asking me because we get a lot of traffic from AI tools as well, just because we have like really good fundamental SEO like on our website, and we did this because I also have, as you know, like a background in SEO, and
Yeah, yeah,
I was like telling everyone just like, I'm like ranked on Google before Amazon pops out for translations. This is how high we were out there. And I'm like, I don't have to do anything because it will pick up, like it will be picked up by AI. All these like LLMs will be picked up. It's the same thing. And when I hear all these people like, oh, let me help you how to get ranked on AI, like your website, I'm just like, just do freaking regular SEO. Like this is what you should have done a while ago. But people in our industry never treat their websites as a tool. They just like treat them as like business cards, and they don't have any actual Google ranked content over there. And that
yeah.
is, your goal, at least for this initial phase of AIs. This is enough for you to get recommended and recognized by AI. You don't need to hire this like magical service that will put you there overnight, whatever. It's all good SEO, and it's all the same principle. Like Google is always
Yeah.
working on LLMs, and AI has also kind of copied that model and made it into something its own and completely confused people out there.
I have a friend, he runs an SEO agency. There's a lot of doom and gloom in the SEO world unless you're in the e-commerce space or like local SEO. Those are still pretty consistent. It's mostly niches that are info based that are really in
Mhm.
trouble, which I'm glad I like actually pivoted Empire Flippers SEO from blog content to marketplace SEO a few years ago. And I think that really saved our ass when AI came out. But I was talking to one of my SEO buddies, like, what do you think about everything? He's like, well, it's about the same, but now I get to charge an extra $1,000 a month because I say AEO instead of SEO.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's about like
I
my
agree.
feeling.
But now everybody like went from like SEO expert to AEO expert, and there's like a lot of AEO experts out there who had no idea what SEO was, and that made me angry, like in so many occasions, really.
Yeah. Let's get back to Amazon. So with translations, I've always been a big fan of your service because people would look back in the day just use like Google Translate, but it's like guys, like you're losing all the power of your copywriting if you do that. And half the time, Google Translate isn't even accurate. But with AI now, this kind of changes the game a bit. So I'm curious on your thoughts, and maybe Seller Lingo is kind of the answer to this, but like now with AI getting as good as it is, why aren't people just using AI to translate the stuff instead of use that rather than like say YOT? Like, talk to me a bit about how that's transforming the landscape for you.
Yeah, it's always like before AI will be like, why don't we use Google Translate? Why will you use your services? But now it's like this is like a different level because AI, it's really good. I can't say like Google Translate is trash. It won't do. AI
Yeah.
will translate, and it is good. I mean, I've tested it a bunch of times, and it gets you good results. And sometimes like that localization that you might get will be pretty decent. Other times it won't. So it's very unstable. It's like kind of volatile. Like
AI is the most
sometimes
stable
it's
in
terrible. Like consistency wise, it's terrible. You'll tell them like, listen, you build a skill called consistency, double checking the translations, and it's terrible. Like it's consistent for the first 15 products, and then it's like, forgets about it. I don't even know like how does it work. But it's gotten really good. But what AI doesn't know is what we mentioned, like product compliance, health claims, banned words, updates, all of that. Like even if you type in, like on LinkedIn, I had a post, and I would go to, I use Claude. I used to use ChatGPT as everyone. Now I'm a Claude person, and then you would go and say like, "Hey, can you translate like this title? This is a product on Amazon. I need it to be localized for the target audience. It sounds native. Use all the good keywords." Da, da, da. So the title is like probiotics for, I don't know, female in their 60s, for instance. That is the probiotics. And then the AI tool translates in German, and the word probiotics is probiotika. And it says, this is the main word, also the main keyword, and you should really emphasize on it and put it everywhere, puts a like really cool summary, explains everything. It really persuades you what an amazing job it's done. And it's all great, but the word probiotica is banned on German market. Like you can translate the word probiotics to Italian word probiotici, probioticos in Spanish, probiotic in France, and they're all good. But the word probiotica, which is a correct translation, is banned. And AI tools, they don't know this. Maybe some sellers don't even know this. That is a problem. And this will get you suppressed, and it's a very, very big problem. And the word you should use instead of probiotics in German is something like active cultures. This is how it translates, aktive Kulturen. And there's just like a bunch of examples like that AI will not know. But for instance, our Seller Lingo tool will know because it's built on our knowledge base, which is 7-year-old knowledge base with absolutely everything and so much data because we work with over 4,000 brands. We have so much data that we just kind of fed into our AI model, and it's learning all the time. We're constantly feeding it with new things and corrections, and so it's actually learning more. A lot of you, when they build their AI thing, it can't learn because sometimes like I also got like this, but I kind of worked around it. It says you can't like use Anthropic to kind of make the model better for translations. And I'm like, yeah, but with something I do, I can make it better. So you are not making Anthropic's better, but our AI model is getting better. So by everything that we're like putting into it and like new information that we get and new translations and updated and better translations. So we're feeding constantly, and it's become a really, really good tool that will not get you in trouble. That if your product says it will make your guts, I don't know, you'll sleep better at night because you're not going to have a gut problem, you're not allowed to say that. So our tool recognizes that it's a potential claim, so we work around it. We say something similar to that, but so it's compliant in the new market, especially like Germany. It's like super tight with all the certificates and absolutely everything. So this is something which is really gold when if you are selling on Amazon and you don't know any of this. Apart from that, of course, localization is great and it's fast. It takes like 90 seconds for you to get the translation done. It's perfect. And you can also add on human proofreading on that, which I will always, always strongly suggest because AI can do a great job with like 10 of your products, but it can butcher other 10 and you wouldn't know. So I think it still needs that human proofreading and SEO research to just make sure that it's like 100% correct. But it speeds up time. Like we use AI a lot to speed up our service. But we always use team to cover like all the things that might be weird, or like the hallucinations with AI. It happens all the time. New models come out, and you need to be very careful with that. You cannot just like use it and be like, oh, it's fine. How people, like, remember OpenClaw? Nobody has mentioned OpenClaw in such a long time. Like, whatever happened with those
It
agents that built,
destroyed everyone's security and left the stage. Yeah.
right? Literally, like, they dropped it, it's like, and they're gone. So don't think that, something like that can happen with you if you use like bad content done by AI. Nobody checked that. Nobody, like, don't be so sure. And also AI, they can't do keyword research on their own. So if you think like, can you use some keywords? You still need to do keyword research separately and then give the list. It incorporates the list. So AI
Yeah.
can't do keyword research without having any MCP connectors or anything, that will help them get the data. So don't forget that, because people do, they're like, there are no keywords here. And I'm like, of course they're not. It's AI. It can't go and do keyword research for you. But that is also very relevant.
You made me think of another story about the hallucination thing. There's this guy, he was talking about like context rot, how like it can start off really, really good and then it gets really, really bad as like the chat gets longer and longer or whatever, right? And he had this thing where he needed to send out like 200 emails to customers to tell him like he's too booked up to accept new customers who are like asking him for stuff. And the AI sent him a message saying, all sent, it's all good. They're like, we let them know you can't accept new customers right now. I said, great. And then the next day he realizes, oh, it only sent to 25% of the 200 people. So, and it just lied to me that it sent the other one. And it made me think of all those videos like, Claude has replaced my marketing team. It's like, yeah, we even have like employees we replace that normally lie to us and are lazy with Claude.
Yeah.
Yes, we truly replicated the experience.
I would love to know what happened to these guys, and I would just love to, just, all these like AI gurus, they're freaking everywhere, and there's so much noise, and you
Yeah.
need to filter it out. Once I first started, like, like being very interested in AI, was like a year ago, and I remember I went on vacation. It was 2 weeks. I was like, I'm gonna go full offline for 2 weeks. I came back. I knew nothing. I was like, oh, so many things changed. Like, how do these key people keep up with this? Like, they literally like have updates every 3 hours in all these WhatsApp groups and like everywhere. And then I started working on Cellular Lingo. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to work on this. It's going to be the best AI translation tool there is out there. And I'm really proud to say that it definitely is. And everyone should go test it out. There's like free credits to test it out. And also some reports as well. We do that on top of everything else in the tool. And then I worked so hard, 6, 7 months. I dedicated my heart and soul to it. And then I realized that you can't be jack of all trades when talking about AI, because you find your tool, you find your thing, and you focus on it and you produce something that is going to be a game changer for your job, or it's going to generate another revenue stream for you. You can't be just like, oh, yes, I use codecs for this and for this and the VS Code and,
Open claw over here, closed claw here.
like, download my SOPs, it'll change your life. Or I did this video for like 3 minutes, like I based all my
Oh
campaigns
yeah.
on it. That is
Oh yeah.
bullshit. No, you have not done that. Yes, you've created one video that was great, but can you make a full campaign out of it? Can you like make your brand like work on it? Can you just like fire your team? No, you can't. You can use AI to speed up things, but you still need humans to control it and to be the voice of reason sometimes,
Yep.
and that is what people have forgotten, because they've been just like distracted by these shiny objects. And when people hear like, I fired my whole team, they're like, oh my God, I can save $20,000. And no, you can't, because, like these agents, how much they're going to cost and how much damage they're going to do to you, like in the long run. This is what nobody's talking about.
Oh, totally.
And yeah,
But just in like, I'm a content person, so I'm one of two ways on it. Like, I think AI is the most overhyped tool out there, but also the most underhyped because it all depends on how you use it, right? But all my friends on like Facebook and LinkedIn that I used to love reading their content, all my friends are ChatGPT rappers
yeah.
now. Like I can see like the same M dash, the same cadence, the same everything. It's like, the dead internet is finally here. So to your point about long term pain, like I think if people don't have a human in the loop, like what you're doing with Seller Lingo or just AI in general, I think you will hurt your business over the long run. Like I barely read any of my friends' content anymore because it's just
Oh no, I
AI.
don't. No,
Like
me neither. Like
terrible.
when I see like that M dash, I'm like, dude, you could have just like got rid of the M dash. Is it that
Yeah,
so difficult? And I hate it, like there's still some good content written by AI, but I just like I can't force myself to read it because I know it's AI. And then a lot of LinkedIn creators, because I do a lot of content on LinkedIn, and a lot of LinkedIn creators have moved to Substack, and they're like, this is the new thing. They don't let AI there, and this and that. I just think it's a matter of time, honestly, because like Reddit, like AI content is there. Like it's not so hard to recognize AI once you've been through so
oh,
much
for
content
sure.
with
Even if you get
AI.
rid of the M dashes, if they don't really
Yeah,
change the style, it's
yes.
always that same like dramatic cadence. Like I don't know how to describe
Well, yeah,
this vast landscape, or is using like shallow metaphors and similes. Really, the triggers the pet peeves in me as a literary snob.
yeah, yeah, I know.
Looks
Yeah.
like let's add in some Cormac McCarthy style. But back to seller lingo. So this is a question I guess I have for what's going on with Amazon with Rufus, which is now Alexa. I just had John Tilley on the podcast, and he mentioned they sunset
Yeah.
Rufus, at least in America, to Alexa. So I joked with him that Rufus has become the old yeller of Amazon because that was Jeff Bezos' dog, right? It was Rufus. Like, dark joke, but with everything that's going on with Alexa, with people like voice search and the AI that's coming up there, how important is your actual listing copy these days? Because like I have a feeling like a lot of people aren't even really. I could be wrong on this, but the people that are finding your listing through the AI, they're not even reading your listing anymore. They're
No,
just reading what the AI tells them. So talk to me about how
exactly.
important your copy is these days.
Yeah, well, this is, like what I previously mentioned, like people won't read through your bullets, that you put so much effort into it, that people are just like proud of their bullet points, like, but now I don't think people go through, I don't read bullets anymore, like if I shop something, I'm gonna be like, so like, is this like, how many pills are inside? Like, is it breastfeeding friendly or whatever? Like, I don't want to like try, as I said, like people have become even lazier
Yeah,
because like I can just ask what I need. I don't have to scroll and then take time to just gonna skim through it and try to find what I'm looking for. I'll just ask. So I think content is really really important, but not because of humans, but because of AI, because you need to have content that really matters for your product, because you want Alexa, whatever, to answer the question someone has with the correct content. And this is also why it's important to get your listings ready for this, because somewhere it says, is it safe for, I don't know, like children? For there's like a cream for something, and you're like, is it safe for children? Does it say that? And then Alexa will be like, there's no information about it, or like, I don't think it's safe for kids, and then on to the next listing. So I would say that you're creating now content for AI to understand better what your product is and to answer all potential questions that AI has, versus for your new audience to like it. I still think that the audience will look at images. I think images are still very, very important. A plus content for sure, like all the infographics. So make them nice and pretty. And also now, recently, a couple of weeks ago, you have to, like, if you do like an AI generated people on your images, you have to disclose that. You have to say that it contains synthetic performer. Like, this is what you need to write on your image, main image, and A plus content. If it's like a photorealistic AI generated people, you need to mention that. So I would say avoid that for now. Like, like make your images nice and beautiful and colorful. But yeah, stay away from AI generated people because you don't want that tag. Because for now, like you're just like, I wouldn't want to buy a brand. I'm like, it kind of like ruins the brand for me because like, oh, they use AI. If I don't know they use AI, it's fine. But now
yeah,
I have to know, and I'm like, oh, it's gross. I'm not gonna buy this because of it's gonna change this for me mentally. But I would say content is really what matters. And also, like, I would say the keywords, because for the search, it will still be very relevant for the algorithm to find them and to understand what your product is. So, yeah, like, I would put it more into like this, like, context of like if you write bullets, you're writing it as if you were writing a review of your product, not like just like enforcing like how awesome your product is, your best features and this and that. Like you put it like as if like I bought a product and I like it, and I can write like 5 or 7 bullets about the product from my own personal experience. This is what I want you to do, to kind of put it more in context and to make this content sound very user centric. This is what my 2 cents are on that topic.
This might be vast oversimplification, but based on this conversation and what Jana's on Guru was talking to me about on my last podcast I did, it seems like the strategy has kind of shifted from like really good copywriting that also interweaves SEO, to persuade someone to buy something, to more about using your copy almost in a Q&A format. Like, so the AI can pick up your questions and just like putting as many Q&A that is relevant to your product, so the AI can have the context when the user is searching. Is that an oversimplification, or is that where everything seems to be switching to?
I would say that it is maybe for now oversimplification, because it's not that, but it sort of is where it's like going to. Like, I think that moving forward it'll be more and more like that, less of like that having like an amazing copywriter do a copy and have like this like play with words and like have this like really creative and smart approach to it. I think we're gearing more towards like, what will this AI tool say about my listing versus what will my user that wants to buy this say about my listing, whether they will feel like it's something that they will want to purchase or not.
Yeah.
For now, it's still more like, it's important what the audience will say, but it's becoming important what the AI is going to say. So if we move more into the AI direction, which I believe we are, I think this is definitely like we are in the technology revolution. This is not going to be like NFTs or something like that. I think this is.
Whoa. Don't you make fun of my expensive apes?
I was also a victim. I was also a victim of that project. So when I say this, I also mean me,
This is a financial revolution of going more broke.
Yes.
Anyway, sorry. I agree with you on AI side.
Which they succeeded. They took my money.
Yes, it works. It works.
So thank you for that. If you're listening to the podcast, reach out to me that we have something to talk about.
But I built Stellar Lingo because of my NFT collection.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
Thank you.
man.
Yeah, so I think this will be going to that direction. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so I do want to talk before we wrap up the podcast. We have a bit of time left. I want to ask you, because you see this a lot, I assume, throughout your customers. But let's say I'm an Amazon seller. Maybe I'm selling just in America right now. What is the point I should seriously consider like international expansion? Is it like a product market fit type of thing? Is it a certain like revenue threshold? Like, what are you seeing that sellers do that gets them like, okay, now is the right time for me to say expand into Europe?
Yeah, well, I think there are several factors. First of all, I think that, US market can be very saturated for certain categories. But before you do anything, you need to do very good due diligence. This is what a lot of brands don't do. They're like, oh, I got this competitor selling in Germany, let's go there. No, like first you do your numbers and see if it makes sense, and then you do whatever you want to do. But as long as there's some data and numbers that make sense to what you're doing. So you can either expand if you see an opportunity that maybe your CPA is lower in Europe, go for it. Or PC clicks or less competitors, or maybe like when you go to Europe, you have access to all these 7 countries because it's all European Union and it's all covered by FBA. So you have access to much more than only one country. Now, it's not a walk in a park to expand internationally, but it's definitely worth it. But you need your numbers to show it to you. So if you're already an established brand in the US and you haven't touched any of the other marketplaces, definitely like do that due diligence today and see if it makes sense for you. I'm sure it will, because we've worked with so many brands, and a lot of brands really want to expand, but they don't know how. First mistake that they do is they just, have machine translated listings and just leave them there just because they don't understand the language. So they think that if they don't understand the language, the content doesn't matter. Like, content is king, and no matter language it is. If you don't understand it, it doesn't mean it's irrelevant,
Right.
And like, A lot of brands, they come to us and they're like, we wanted to expand, the numbers were great, this and that, but we're just not making enough sales. The first thing I do is the audit of their listings, and every single listing, I would say 95%, and I kid you not, have terrible listings in different languages. And this is a mistake number one, because it literally, like, you shot yourself in the foot before you even started, because content is really something that matters on top of all the other things, but content really matters and it makes all the difference. After this is fixed, like 2-3 weeks later, you start getting more impressions, click-through rates. If your numbers in your due diligence report were fine, then there's something that you need to fix in order for this to work. And we don't see like less brands expanded. We see a lot of brands. I mean, we've been around for 7 years. There's a reason why we've been there, and it's a really small niche, but we do have a lot of brands that want to expand because they see an opportunity and they see that they're leaving money on the table, which I can absolutely guarantee you are. But don't expand if you have like only a couple of products and you don't have a budget to expand, because it's not gonna be worth it. I'd rather focus that brands should focus rather on like making it big or bigger than they currently are on their home market, and then expanding somewhere where it makes sense. For instance, Japan is an incredible market, but you really have to have a product for that marketplace. Like if you're selling, I don't know, headphones for, I don't know, maybe your iPhone or whatever, like a specific headphones, maybe they don't like it because it's not a very Asian centric product. I mean, Greg, like what I'm talking about. Like there are products in Asia that work only there and the audience really likes them. And in Europe, they'll be like, why are you selling this? Who's going to buy this? We had a really awesome brand. They were selling baseball equipment in the US. I forgot the name, but they were doing very, very well in the US. And they wanted to expand in Japan because of baseball, like because Japanese are such a big baseball fans. And what they did is that they redid their sports equipment so it's in neon colors. So it kind of fits even better the Japanese market. Yes, their aesthetics. And they went, like, it was crazy. It was beyond successful. So, like, if you can maybe make your product, like customize it a little bit so it fits better to target market, like do it. Because this is what this brand did. They already had like a good product because Japanese love baseball, but on top of that they did like these colors and it was a big hit. So like you think about like maybe you can kind of do that to your product as well. But yeah, like it doesn't mean if you have a big bestseller in the US that you're going to have a big bestseller in Germany as well. It doesn't work like that. You need to be sure that your product will be selling, but opportunities are everywhere. And here's a little tip. So like we're having such a terrible heat wave in Europe. It's beyond bearable. It's like 130 degrees. Like in Germany doesn't have any ACs at all. There are no AC. Like there's no like you go into some of us. I couldn't believe that. My sister lives in Frankfurt. My parents visited her a couple of weeks ago, and they're like, "What do you mean we can't turn on the AC? Like, where do you guys live?" It's like, well, Germany was never. Is it? Yeah, like shopping malls have no AC. Like it's unbearable. They're constantly sweating because Germany has never had heat waves like in the past. Like they've had very mild temperature during summer and like, there was no need for it. But then that's changed and their bureaucracy is saying, no, we can't put ACs on these beautiful buildings. Like we're not going to let you do it. And even if you file that you want AC in your home, it takes a couple of years for you to get approved. So what I've seen is there's a very big increase in portable ACs that are being bought in Germany just because of the cultural aspect. So if you're selling ACs in the US, which is not in top 10 search terms, not even like probably top 50, it is in top 10 search terms in Germany, especially this summer, as in every summer. So this is like a really good product opportunity. And you can just like find out about that just by doing the search term report and seeing like what people are searching for in these other markets, and then seeing that maybe they're looking for your product because this brand is making more money in Germany from these portable ACs than they are in the US. And there's like a lot of opportunities like that, and it's not so difficult to find them. You just need to sit and just like go through the search terms where people are using and then go do the numbers and see if it makes sense for you. But the opportunities are everywhere, and if you're failing in one market, it doesn't mean that you're going to be a failure in all of the other markets. It just means that Maybe you had bad luck in the beginning, but it doesn't have to mean that you're gonna stay there. So I would definitely recommend everyone doing that and then seeing if it works for them. And I'm sure that I would say 70% of brands see an opportunity in expanding internationally.
This is one of the reasons I've always loved your business, and I'm sure Seller Lingo does this too. But where most people just like do the direct translation, you're also asking about the, like the cultural translation too. Like I totally get what you mean. Like some products will sell in Asia versus Europe. Like Asia loves the cyberpunk aesthetic. Like every city in Asia pretty much has a little bit of that. But Japan is quite unique because they also have things that other Asians want to do. Like I love my tobacco, right? When I go to Japan, they love American like cowboy western aesthetic. And so one of the biggest brands of cigarettes in Japan is American Spirits, which is a hardcore cigarette that I've only ever seen in America. And that was what I used to smoke when I was back in America. So I remember being in Osaka, like I bought some American Spirits, like, wow, this is crazy. I smoked these like in North Dakota and on the oil field. And this Japanese guy's Halloween, to explain what's about to happen, he comes up to me in a full-on cowboy costume. He's like, "Oh, American Spirits." Like, "Oh yeah, you want one?" Like he pulls out his own, like Clint Eastwood. I have my own. Like that's awesome, you know. But like, so the thing I like about your service is you take into account like not all the people in every market is the same. Like probiotics in America versus German. Like you gotta handle this differently as a different type of culture, different type of people. It's not just a translation problem. So I love that stuff because I feel too many entrepreneurs and marketers, they never stop to think like maybe my customer is not like me, so I should
Yeah.
package it in a different way, right? What's your advice for people when it comes to thinking through things like that outside of just like the, look like what's trending, like keyword research? Like how do you think about like translating the feeling, because like I'm a marketer, everyone buys based on an emotion, but how
Yeah.
I wrap that to our American audience might be different than how I wrap it for an Italian audience. So how do you go about like that kind of cultural translation?
Yeah, I think that is super important. Thank you for mentioning that because, yes, people will buy whatever sparks the emotion, the same emotion that you have. And there was actually a brand that we work with. They were selling a pasta machine. I think it was called Carla's Pasta Machine or something like that. There was like those old ones, like when you do like, I have one from my grandpa because he's Italian. And I was like really happy to see that. And it was like, they were doing very well in the US. And then they wanted to sell it in Italy, in Italy where every single house has that, but whatever, like they wanted to do that. And they just translated, like they had like the sentence saying, eat pasta like in Bella Italia. And then they would just translate that like eat pasta as in Bella Italia. That was their translation. They already had listings. And I was like, well, what does this spark? Does it spark anything with Italian when he says Bella Italia? Like, what does it mean to an Italian? Nothing. It means it's probably like some US copy, whatever. It's like some US rubbish they want to sell to us, right? Because it's like Bella Italia. And then I went to AI because I really wanted to see like what the AI is gonna come up with. So AI, I told them like localize this, because we have a full set of skill on like how to localize listings with AI. So AI said use Carl's machine to eat traditional pasta. I'm like, okay, this is better. This is not like Bella Italia traditional pasta. But then I went to my team and I'm like, how will we do this? Like, what do you think is the best way to localize it? And then my Italian team came up with this brilliant translation, which says, use Carlo's machine and eat pasta like your nonna made. Like nonna is that Italian grandma. And when you have the word nonna in Italy, it's like, hey, nonna, it's like little like a chubby grandma like doing pastas and like all of those like Italian stuff. Yes, when you say like your nonna used to make, it was that emotion in your childhood when you eat like a beautiful homemade meal, that amazing pasta that your nonna made. And that is the whole point. And that sparks emotion and people connect with that. And people will want to try something that they have been missing for a lot of years. And that is exactly like how to convey the same message they have from the source language to target one. And that is a really good example of localization and understanding the new audience. And that still is something that only humans can do.
I love that. That's exactly what I was getting at. Like eating pasta like Bella Italia, an American would think like traditional Italian, like this is like the good stuff, not this like
The
crappy
good
American
stuff.
stuff,
Yeah.
right? To say that to Italian, like you mean like how I eat right now. What are you
Yeah,
talking
exactly.
about? So that makes total sense. Well, we're coming up on the top of the hour here, so I want to ask you some rapid fire questions. So I'm going to ask you three quick questions. You give me three quick answers. Are you ready?
Okay.
All right. That was the first one. Good job, Jana. Like, amazing work. Pass
This
that
on
one
top of
off.
my game.
I'll add in one more question just because you answered that one so well. What is the best hidden growth opportunities right now for international FBA expansion?
I would say maybe go to smaller marketplaces in Europe. For instance, like Poland. I can guarantee, like we can redo this podcast in like 2 years and see if I was right, but I will be right. So Poland is incredible because that is the country that is like up and coming. They literally don't have anything in their stores. Like I was there at a conference last year, and I was shocked because they're such a they're a developing country. They're part of the EU, and they have 12,000 online stores. Also, Allegra, their marketplace, is in top 10 marketplaces in the world, right after Tmall and Shopee. So it is incredibly e-commerce level developed, but people somehow don't go there. They think it's not relevant. Also, Poland has probably like 30, 40 million people. It's a huge country. And I think that it's just a matter of time when Amazon just kind of has its breakthrough there. Also, if you're like doing D2C, do Poland, do Romania, like do these countries because there's like a lot of people there and they want more products and more brands. They don't have a lot of things there. They do have money, a lot of money, and they want to spend it online. Hence 12,000 online stores, which is pretty impressive. So I think that those countries should be very, really interesting in the future. And yeah, now you do have Amazon Poland, and we have a lot of brands that sell there already, and the e-commerce penetration is quite high. So I would definitely advise on doing Poland in Europe, and if you do D2C, also do Romania, because that Central Europe is still undercover. But all brands that did well also did fantastically well in those two countries, and they do credit cards. It's not only cash on delivery, which a lot of people think. It is credit cards, a lot of credit cards. And I work with a brand that sells pregnancy journals, and they say that all of their purchases are done by card. So literally, like it depends who you sell to. So like baby journals are it's like a younger audience. They all use credit cards. Maybe if you sell like a senior citizen like products, you might get like cash on delivery or COD. But don't be scared to go there just because you think they don't function like others. They do pretty much. And I think that is probably a really, really good opportunity hidden there.
This is great advice. I want to linger on this for a little bit, but like I have a lot of entrepreneur friends that are Polish. Like I see them all the time at conferences. So like Poland, yeah, technically is a developing country, I guess, but it's like extremely robust economy. Like at least in terms of their tech scene is amazing. Like I know tons of people in that space. And I think you're right. Most people would overlook that. They think like, okay, well, what's the biggest Amazon market in Europe? They probably think Germany, right? Like technically true, but also very competitive and weirdly more old school than a lot of even Poland. Like I haven't been to Germany, so I just my friends who have been to Germany, they tell me like it's really hard to get credit cards to work like, versus it's a very cash economy.
I
Right.
was also surprised how old school Germany is because I would think like Germany is like this high tech country, you know,
Right.
like people
Yeah.
wants to
Yeah.
sell and know this and that, but it's very very old school. Like I was surprised, so I just want to echo what you said. Yeah, totally.
I'm in Vietnam, and half the places, like even the food carts on the streets, they accept payment
Thank you
through
so much.
QR
Yeah,
codes.
yeah.
like this is like why is Vietnam more advanced than Germany? Anyways, but I think this is great advice because people would overlook it. I think especially my American audience who are more like insulated in America, they might not think about these kind of tertiary countries, but
Yeah.
yeah, like Poland, Romania, especially Poland, incredibly robust economy. Okay, second question. What tools or resources can FBA sellers use to help them make a smooth transition into selling on international marketplaces?
Okay, so I love Smart Scout. They're great. Like you can look up like revenue of all brands, all like products. They have a bunch of other really, really good tools. So I would say that is like, just to look up research because it's a really easy overview and it's not too complicated to use. Helium-10 for keyword research, they're still good for international marketplaces. They're more expensive now than they used to be because they're now, part of a bigger corporation, which was something you expected. But definitely Helium-10 still has the best information on the international keywords. Their black box feature is great. You can find out products there as well. And the third one, Data Dive is also a cool tool to use. They don't have too much data on all the categories in international marketplaces, but their overall features are really, really good. And they're not as expensive as Helium-10. So I would say that those three tools are pretty cool. And then you have a lot of free content out there. For instance, like if you get in touch with Avask, they will tell you, they will do an audit. Like people want to help you out. Like if you want to reach out to someone who does compliance or taxes or this or that, reach out because they will always do a free audit of your business and suggestions what you should do, how much it costs, and so on. You just need to ask. So there's like a lot of free value that you can get that you don't have to do on your own.
This is a fantastic answer, but unfortunately, it's the wrong answer, Jana. You're supposed to mention seller lingo. This is your
Seller
opportunity to
lingo.
promote seller lingo.
Seller lingo will help you get your listing translated literally for nothing. You don't break the bank. It is very affordable because we want to make it so that even smaller brands that can't afford to expand because they don't have a lot of budgets, they can play around, see how it will look, test their listings and whatsoever. And you get 37 sign up credits that you can use in 6 months. See if you like it. And for those 37 credits, you can test out everything that we're offering on Seller Lingo, which is listing translation, image translation, and 3 different reports that will show you if you are Rufus compliant. They will compare it to your competitors. You'll see also the reviews. Yes, we do still have access to show you the reviews. And also you have a free compliance guide. That's it. I think the tool sells itself.
You fixed the answer. Make sure everyone goes, clicks there, because in the podcast links, we'll put the link to Seller Lingo. Jana has promised me 1 free Tesla if I give her 1 customer. So I'm very interested in this exchange.
If you are our 218th customer, please let me know so I can book Tesla for
Tesla. Perfect. I still remember one of my aggregator competitors, they buy a lot of businesses from us, but they're also my competitor to try to get the seller right. And their affiliate program was like, if you refer a deal to us, we'll give you a Tesla. Like, shit, how am I going to compete against this? This is some rough competition for me. That aggregator is basically broke now, so I guess it worked out. The lesson is don't give away over Tesla in your referral program. All right, my final question for you, my friend. What has been your funniest moment working in the e-commerce world?
Well, there've been some, I would say, situations I've had with meeting people in different conferences. That's pretty hilarious. I love that. I love to meet new people, network. That is just like why I'm here. I am still in this industry. I enjoy that a lot. But apart from that, when it comes to business and like doing what we do, is just like these like ridiculous translations, just like out there on Amazon. And my favorite one was it was an Italian listing, and the brand was selling bikinis, like swimwear. And there was like a plus size model on the image, and the reviews were just terrible. They're like tearing up the whole listing. And then I was like, why is this happening? So I go to my team and I'm like, we have this brand, they're not doing very well, but they want to like do their listings again. And then my team goes like, well, I'll tell you why. Because in the title of this listing, it says this blue bikini with the color, with the flowers, is for Donna Grosso, which means fat women. So it's not plus size, it's fat women.
Are you a fat piece of shit? You're going to love this bikini.
Yes, sir. Exactly.
Just insulting the customer at the time.
The reviews were like, like I've never seen like such a bad review. Like it's even worse than Sharknado on IMDb movie rated. So
Sharknado is a modern day Great Gatsby. All right, don't you talk about
it is. But I mean, it is work of art. But people didn't like.
It is a work of art.
For this bikini. If you're fat, we got a thing for you. So yeah.
I love it. That's awesome. Okay. Well, Jana, it is always such a pleasure to speaking with you. I'm a big fan of your business. So anyone in the Amazon space, go check out Seller Lingo and YOT Translation. We'll put all those links in the podcast notes. But for anyone that wants to connect with you or just learn more about what you do, where should we send them?
Yeah, you can definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. I do non-AI content on LinkedIn. Just
You're one of my few friends who are not a ChatGPT rapper.
yes, yes, I'm not. Yes, I do not do that for now. We'll see in future, but for now, I'm
I'm a
still
Claude rapper, a little bit
human.
more,
Yes,
a little more sophisticated over here.
exactly. And you can reach out to me by email, Jana at ylt-translations.com. If you have any questions, if you want us to do an audit, if you want to book a free consultation with me to see if you can earn more money, please do. I always love to help brands. And yeah, let me know if you need anything. We'll be happy to help and talk anytime.
Oh, Jana, thank you so much for coming on, my friend.
Thank you so much, Greg, for having me. This was a blast. I always love talking to you. I haven't seen you in a while, but I kind of feel like, I had some time with you, and it's been really, really great. Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure. We'll have to reunite the circle. I'll send Zach a message for the next
Please,
conference.
please do. Please do. Looking forward to it.
There you have it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it got you inspired at all the different things that are happening in this industry. And of course, if you just want to buy a highly profitable business, you can always go to empireflippers.com/marketplace, or maybe you want to make an exit of your highly profitable business, and you could go to empireflippers.com/sell your site. I've been your host, Greg. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you leave a review, give us a like, a follow, share it across social media. Talk to you all soon. See you on the next episode.